Hello everyone, welcome to this update video. I hope you're doing good today. And if you're in the Lesser Antilles, you're probably experiencing those rough seas, lots of heavy rainfall, and even those gusty winds as Tropical Storm Ernesto is barreling into the area. So we can see it here on the satellite imagery. It's quite prevalent right now, and it is bringing those dangerous impacts, which are going to be persistent through today and even spread into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands later and through tomorrow. So it is a dangerous situation right now. And not only is it a problem for the areas under a tropical storm warning, but further to the south, Ernesto is unleashing a lot of heavy rain elsewhere as well. So we're gonna get straight into what is happening. Let's take a closer look at the storm, and here we can see it. So it is producing a lot of activity right now. It's pretty expansive and not a very compact system where impacts are just limited to the Leeward Islands. All the way down through the Windward Islands, there are impacts this morning. Elsewhere in the Caribbean, we can see some scattered showers and thunderstorms around near the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, parts of northern South America as well. And we're going to be looking at the rainfall forecast for the region on a whole throughout this video. But the main talk of the town is Ernesto. Let's kickstart things with it. So for Ernesto, here you can see the latest track from the National Hurricane Center as of 5 a.m. this morning. And the maximum sustained wind is up to 40 miles per hour. So it hasn't strengthened since yesterday. And it is moving west at a slower pace right now of 20 miles per hour. So I did mention that it would slow down a bit. And it is slowing down. So it's moving westward at 20 miles per hour. And we can see all the blue highlights for that tropical storm warning. So Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, Ceiba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, Guadeloupe, all of those areas are under a tropical storm warning. Also the Virgin Islands, Vieques, Culebra, Puerto Rico. So tropical storm impacts are going to be persistent in the area today, as I had mentioned. And even though other areas in the Lesser Antilles, such as Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad, Tobago, and Barbados are not under a tropical storm warning, that's because those tropical storm force winds are not expected. But that doesn't mean there's no heavy rain, because I mean that's happening right now for some areas as I speak. For example, in the Grenadines, parts of Trinidad, Dominica, there is some heavy rain this morning because Ernesto is very expansive. So the impacts are pretty far from the center, and that is why even in previous videos I was highlighting the fact that, hey, the tracks, when we looked at the model track guidance to see what the general trajectory is, I mentioned that, hey, this is to track the center of the system. It's not showing the size, and areas well off from the center are experiencing impacts from Ernesto. So Ernesto is going to be making its way up to the northwest over the coming few days, and eventually it is expected to become a hurricane by early on Thursday. So it's not going to be strengthened very quickly in the Caribbean, thankfully. However, the main issue, as I've previously highlighted, is the flood threat, the heavy rainfall, and that is likely to lead to significant flooding. So for those areas under a tropical storm warning right now, perhaps should have been finalized just to ensure that, hey, everything is all set. We're going to safely ride out the storm. And again, thankfully, it's not much stronger. It hasn't strengthened since yesterday. And again, other areas far from the center, or even those areas not under tropical storm warning, are experiencing a lot of heavy rainfall this morning. So let me know what is happening in your area. Now, in terms of the path of Ernesto, let's go back to the satellite imagery here real quick. We can see that frontal system well offshore the United States. Now here we are looking at a surface chart. So there's a lot of things going on here, but let's focus on just a few things. We can see that diagonal line. You can see those blue triangles, those red semicircles. So that is where our frontal system is located. So these semicircles and the triangle on either side, that is for a stationary front, and for just the blue triangles, that's a cold front. So we can see those, the H is there as well. That's the area of high pressure out there. We can see where it is, that area is marked for Tropical Storm Ernesto. And because of the frontal system and this area of high pressure being displaced a bit further to the east, that is going to allow Ernesto the chance or the opportunity to make its way up to the northwest and make a curve up and out. So that is going to be the reason it moves out. That's why it's not going to be heading straight into the Caribbean. So Another thing is that how does the high pressure system tend to influence the track? Well, winds within an area of high pressure in the northern hemisphere rotate in a clockwise fashion. So essentially, these tropical cyclones that move along the periphery of it, the outermost part, because they can't move through it. So they move around it, and that is essentially what Ernesto is going to be doing. The system is going to be displacing further east. We've got a front out there. It's not another area of high pressure sitting over the U.S. that's going to be steering it further west, else that would mean bad news for the entirety of the Caribbean and maybe even the Gulf. But thankfully, Ernesto will be curving up and out. However, not such great news for those other areas such as the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, currently under a tropical storm warning. So guys, please ensure that you take all the necessary precautions and stay safe as best as possible. Please do not take any unnecessary risks. Through today, this is a look at what the Euro is forecasting in terms of the rainfall accumulation, and really for today and in the very early morning hours of tomorrow, probably up to 3 a.m. We can see these very colorful shadings for parts of the northeastern islands. We can see a few spots of purples going to those pinkish shadings near the Virgin Islands. So there could be rainfall amounts at the maximum up to 4 inches as we head throughout today. So that's definitely going to be possible for these islands as Ernesto makes its way in. And then for much of the Leeward Islands, there could be rainfall amounts up to 2.5 inches or so. Further south, maybe up to 1 inch or just over 1 inch of rain and accumulation through today. But for the ABC Islands, it's likely to be pretty dry and sunny, pretty far from those impacts regarding Ernesto. And then for northern South America, parts of Colombia, Venezuela, a few spots in Guyana may experience some downpours. Similar thing for Central America. We've been seeing that the area has been pretty active as of late. It will remain active today. And then those scattered showers and thunderstorms likely for the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, a few spots in the Bahamas, as well as Hispaniola, which comprises Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Things will kind of be on the drier side for the Turks and Caicos Islands. In terms of the winds, so there's likely to be those tropical storm force winds, especially for those areas currently under that tropical storm warning, which I had highlighted. But overall for the Caribbean, it may not be a very, very windy day. So for the northeastern islands, definitely going to be windy. Those winds will be kicking up even a bit further south through the rest of the windward islands. Maybe not tropical storm force, but it may be a bit windy today. And then for the rest of the region, maybe winds 5 to 10 knots at maximum. Now, as Ernesto is going to be making his way through, the seas are going to be very, very unsettled. So I had highlighted the potential of the storm surge, the winds of the system pushing the water on shore and flooding coastal areas. So again, thankfully, Ernesto is not very strong. The winds are not very, very strong. Nonetheless, there's still going to be those very choppy seas. So as we're going to be heading throughout today, we can see this graphic here. And where we see some of those yellow shadings, that is what indicates those seas probably up to 11 feet in wave height. And then as we head to later this evening, we can see some of those orange spots starting to pop up near the Virgin Islands, seas up to 13 feet. So it's going to be very, very rough and choppy out there, as I said, mostly outside of the Caribbean. And eventually, as the system strengthens and as we head into tomorrow, we can see those red shadings popping up. So the stronger it is, the rougher the seas will be, the higher those wave heights are going to be. So wave heights probably going up to 16, 17 feet offshore Puerto Rico as the system would move back into the Atlantic waters. So that is what is expected in terms of the wave heights, guys. And of course, Ernesto is in a favorable environment right now for the strengthening to take place. It's not expected to rapidly intensify, nor is that likely for the short term. So while it's in the vicinity of the Northeast Caribbean right now, rapid intensification is not expected, which is good news. Again, Beryl left us with that feeling of paranoia, but thankfully that's not going to be happening right now with Ernesto. Once it moves offshore and conditions may become a little bit more conducive, it may strengthen quickly, but for now it is not expected to quickly intensify into a hurricane. And of course, guys, I'm here to keep you updated on this system. So that is the latest on it. Again, it hasn't strengthened much since it became a named storm yesterday with those maximum winds up to 40 miles per hour. It is unleashing those very dangerous impacts, especially regarding the plethora of heavy rain across the Lesser Antilles, and that is going to be spread into the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico later today, which those areas are under tropical storm warning. And so, guys, stay tuned for my upcoming videos where I'll give more details on the system as updates come in. So that that's it for now. And I hope you found this video to be informative. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll get to you when I have the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.